I was like Moses of the interstate. If you know anything about me, you know that I love vans. And really, what's the ultimate van? An ambulance. And what's the best ambulance? The Transcon Medevac from the Cannonball Run. So in the 1979 Cannonball, Brock Yates, Hal Needham, Pamela Yates, his wife, and a doctor drove across the country in a heavily modified 1977 Dodge ambulance. And their whole shtick was that they were transporting a senator's wife from the East Coast to UCLA Medical Center, and they got pulled over in New Jersey. And when the police ask, "Where are you going?" they say, UCLA Medical Center. And the police ask, "Why are you not flying there?" And they said, "Well, she has cysts on her lungs, and we can't even take the northern route through the mountain pass because they may burst." They ended up getting away with it, and the Transcon Medevac has never actually made it across the country. I know that Travis Bell has a replica of this thing. Ed and John Ficarra and Travis attempted to vindicate the situation in 2021 and failed at that, so that's still a work in progress. But I've always wanted to have a Transcon Medevac. But I don't want to do an old version. I want to do a new modern version. So I spent a lot of time researching and finding a modern version of this Dodge van. So it has to have a sliding door, and it has to have the big barn door in the back. And I found this 2000 Dodge Ram 2500. I secured the thing. It's this big project. Whenever I go and look for a project car, it's got to be rust-free. I'm kind of like a freak, and it's like a sort of a game to me. So I secure this 2000 Dodge Ram, and I get the thing, and I just realize, man, what am I gonna do with this thing? Ultimately, I need to tow. I want to take my family on trips. This is not for me. So I'm going to try to find an actual ambulance. I'm not going to just dress up a van like an ambulance. I'm going to get an ambulance. Now the problem lies, I need to be able to cruise at a high rate of speed, because there's one thing I hate is people in the left lane. And that's probably why I like used police cars, because I like to come up the left lane. I like them to think that I'm a police officer, and I like them to get out of the way. So what better vehicle to do that, in my mind, than an ambulance? Now I'm searching for a Duramax powered Chevy Type 2 ambulance. Now, a Type 2 ambulance is not like your normal box with the dual rear wheels, a box on a chassis. A Type 2 is like on a van chassis. So it's only got 4 wheels, and I need to find something that's somewhat aerodynamic, because I want to be able to cruise at a higher rate of speed and not have the fuel economy suffer too much. So after doing some research, I found that there's a company in Canada called Demers that makes this really slick aerodynamic top where the lights are built in to the actual top, like the bubble top that they put on the top of the van. So I'm searching for one of those, and they're very hard to find, it turns out. They didn't make very many of them. They weren't real popular. They were very expensive to build. So I end up settling, and this is always what I do, is whenever I get a project in mind, I usually buy 2 to 3 vehicles before I actually get the final one. I mean, I bought 2 hearses before I figured out the right hearse. I've bought multiple Caprice PPVs for building the ultimate Caprice PPV police car. So yet again, I end up buying a ton of vehicles. So while I was down here actually in Atlanta filming the 2539 story about doing the COVID Cannonball record, I was searching Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, and I found a pretty close to what I wanted ambulance up in Minnesota. So me and my buddy Jordan were down here filming. We ended up leaving a day early so I can run up from Atlanta up to Minnesota, check out this ambulance, and hopefully secure it. And that's what we did. Drove through the night, got up to Minnesota, checked this thing out. It was a nicely done ambulance. I mean, it could easily go back into service, but it had most of the aerodynamic top that I wanted, but not quite. So I picked the thing up because, well, I'm there and I'm just going to jump the gun and get this thing. So drive it back, and it was pretty good, but it had been a four-wheel drive conversion, so it was real heavy. I get this thing back and I've got buyer's remorse. It doesn't have the aerodynamic top exactly the way I wanted. It's got this four-wheel drive system that I really don't need. I don't plan on doing any overlanding. I really just need to be able to cruise at a higher rate of speed. The thing kind of feels heavy, but it did prove out what I thought would be true, is this thing is governed at 93 miles an hour. And I had a 100% success rate of driving the left lane at the top speed of this vehicle. And I was like Moses of the interstate. Everybody, like clockwork, off to the right, off to the right, off to the right. So I knew I was onto something, but I needed to find the exact Demir's Type 2 that I wanted. Luckily, I'd made friends with the guy who I'd bought the four-wheel drive ambulance from, as I normally do. My wife always jokes, like, oh, you're buying something from Craigslist, you're selling something on Craigslist, like, oh, this is gonna be your new best friend. And Nathan over at Elite Ambulance Sales proved to be a great friend. So he actually found somebody else that really wanted to build an overlanding four-wheel drive ambulance, sold it. I think I even made a couple dollars, which is like mind-blowing. And I told him, I said, Nathan, find me a Demir's Type 2. I'm just going to chill out. I'm going to wait until you find one for me. And lo and behold, a few months later, he finds one with a blown motor in North Carolina. I'd found the one I wanted. It's a 2009 Chevy Express 3500. It had a blown motor, so this was good for me because I wanted to put a fresh motor in it, do some upgraded injectors, a bigger turbo, and all that kind of stuff while I'm at it. So this is my perfect opportunity. Got it cheap, but now what do I do with an ambulance that needs a motor in North Carolina? So I called our good friend Rob Pitts, Rabbit, and kind of told him the situation, told him where it was. It was only 100 miles from him, so man, he was great. He said, no problem, just tell me where it is. I'll go have it picked up, bring it back to my diesel shop. We'll throw an engine in it, do whatever you want. So that's kind of what happened over the course of like 6 months or so. Got a new motor in it, got a upgraded turbo, did a couple other modifications to it, got the thing running really well. He shipped it up for me, up to Chicago, so I've now got this ambulance, and I'm pretty happy about it. It's exactly what I wanted. It's a great foundation for what I want to do, which is basically gut the interior of it and turn it into like a conversion van. So I'm going to use this as like a new family truckster. Travis Bell has got all of the graphic kit from his replica Transcon Medevac, so I'm going to wrap it in this Transcon Medevac livery. So now I'm going to create the modern Transcon Medevac version 2.0. The one thing that I've realized is it's probably not a good idea to have a ambulance that says ambulance. I like to stay out of trouble, so my plan is to replace anywhere where it says ambulance with Medevac. I'd have to imagine it's illegal to impersonate an ambulance. I don't plan on having any lights or sirens, but what I did find from the ambulance that I did have is that really doesn't matter. If you're just driving up the left lane at a reasonable pace, people just get out of the way, and that's fantastic. I think that most normal people's wives would think that they were crazy and would never want to set foot in an ambulance that's converted into a conversion van, but my wife likes to go on trips with us, and she finds it equally as frustrating when people are in the left lane, probably from me always complaining about it, so she's happy that now we'll be able to get places as a family a little quicker than normal.
Premier Financial Services has been a sponsor of the VINwiki YouTube channel for the last 4 years, and we love them for that, but we also love their Simple Lease. It's one of the most powerful tools in the world of exotic car financing. It allows you to minimize your payment, minimize your down payment, have the flexibility to move in and out of cars, and take all of the advantages that are available to a leasing structure. So check them out at the link in the description below. We appreciate their continued support of VINwiki, and since you heard about them last here on the channel, they were actually acquired by First Financial Bank USA. And what does that mean for you? It means they're now larger than any of the other exotic car banks you may have heard of. They can move faster, buy more deals, and give you even better customer service. So thank them for their continued support of VINwiki and use them as your tool to buy your dream car soon.